Some are up in arms after the identity of the woman behind a popular conservative social media account was revealed by the Washington Post on Tuesday. Some on the right saying the Washington Post doxed her, meaning they outed her effectively in an effort to silence her. But I have to say that I don't really get the outrage here. Now, the story centers around a Twitter account called Libs of TikTok. This account has become popular on the right for sharing content originally posted, typically by far-left liberals, in which those liberals come off as wildly out of touch on various social issues. These posts gain major traction in conservative media after Libs of TikTok spotlights them as examples of sort of unchecked and unhinged progressive ideology gone wild. Libs of TikTok was put on the map last summer by Joe Rogan, who raved about the account on his podcast.
Go to Libs of TikTok, that page that I showed you on Twitter. It's the best. It's like the most nonsensical cuckoo talk. There was a girl on the Libs of TikTok that had beads, different color beads that she would wear that indicated which gender she identified with and how she was feeling, because her gender changed multiple times per day.
It's like a mood ring.
Wear the beads, different color beads, to let everybody know where she's at.
From there, the account's following and influence skyrocketed. More than 850,000 people now follow Libs of TikTok, and videos shared on the account regularly spread like wildfire, mostly across the conservative sphere. It's not uncommon to see a Libs of TikTok video on Fox News shortly after the account promotes it. And in recent weeks, the creator of Libs of TikTok began appearing anonymously doing interviews. In a Fox News interview last week, Tucker Carlson asked the then unknown mastermind behind it why she wouldn't reveal her name.
It's just remarkable to me in a country like ours that you feel the need to remain anonymous. Tell us why you're not giving us your name tonight.
Well, I've gotten a few death threats. I get a ton of hate mail, and the left has been showing recently, how they would treat people who disagreed with them. It's funny because some of the death threats, I've reported it, and the people, they still have their accounts on Twitter. So, you can threaten violence and still keep your account, but you can't play a video of what a leftist is themselves saying.
Now, here's the problem with that, is that Libs of TikTok regularly takes video from unknown people with just a handful of followers. And after she shares him, those videos are seen by millions nationwide. And those people then endure harassment. There are reports of local school board officials being harassed, receiving death threats after their videos are seen on Libs of TikTok. And the woman behind it has sought to increase her power by appearing anonymously on Tucker Carlson's show, the popular Ruthless podcast, and in other high-profile conservative venues. She wanted the influence, but not the accountability. But yesterday, her identity became known to the world. Washington Post reporter Taylor Lorenz featured a feature about the Libs of TikTok and revealed the name of its creator. I think it's pronounced Chaya Raichik, a former Brooklyn realtor who has since been hired by the conservative parody site, the Babylon Bee. But some conservatives were outraged at the Washington Post and Taylor Lorenz.
Well, the Washington Post internet scribe made a name for herself at the New York Times, where her beat was similar. Target people online, usually conservatives, and then try to destroy their lives by insinuation or just plain old doxing. And that is what she's trying to pull off with the founder of the anonymous Twitter handle, Libs of TikTok.
Now, Taylor Lorenz, of all people, knew this would happen. She knew what she was doing when she wrote the story. She was trying to shut this woman up.
Well, look, a Washington Post senior managing editor named Cameron Barr released a statement backing Lorenz and her reporting. They said, quote, Chaya Raichik and her management of the Libs of TikTok Twitter account and in media interviews has had significant impact on public discourse, and our identity had become public knowledge on social media. We didn't publish or link to any details about her personal life. Now, it's worth knowing if the last line of that is not true. An early version of the article did include a link to Raichik's real estate license, which included personal information, which included her business address. And in my view, that does cross a line. The Post has since taken that link down, and shame on them for including that at all. But Chaya Raichik, more broadly, is a powerful person. As far as I'm concerned, you don't get to chase influence, then complain about your name being identified. Joining us now is Mary Margaret Olahan, a reporter for the Daily Wire who covers cultural issues. Thanks so much for coming on the show. Appreciate it. All right, so what do you think I'm getting wrong here?
Well, Dan, part of this that is so interesting is that this account, Libs of TikTok, the Washington Post was right when they said that it's shaping American policy. You know, you see in Florida, Governor DeSantis's team has absolutely been influenced by what Libs of TikTok is posting. And that is these videos from TikTok of these very radical concepts, or, you know, as Joe Rogan said, that some girl that says her gender changes with every bead on her bracelet and she'll change the colors. You know, we've got a lot of different videos like this, but most especially videos of teachers saying very radical things in the classroom. And we see this more and more throughout this Don't Say Gay criticism of Florida's legislation, the Parental Rights in Education bill. So, you know, we have all that going on. And this is just the Washington Post kind of focusing in on this account, and they're seeing how much power this account has. But it's also the Washington Post kind of revealing that they're not okay with that power. They're not okay with the influence that Libs of TikTok is having on Republican lawmakers. And, you know, you can make the point that Libs of TikTok doesn't deserve anonymity if this account is so big, but there's
but that's what I want to ask you about. That's what I want to ask you about, because there's no doubt that this article was critical of Libs of TikTok, right? I mean, this was not a sort of objective article about Libs of TikTok. It was, sorry?
Though they pretended to be objective.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm saying I agree with you on that. Yeah, totally. This was not an objective article. This was a takedown, right? I completely agree with that. But what I don't get is the outrage over sort of outing her, right? This idea that, oh, she was entitled to her anonymity, and how dare the Washington Post expose who she was. I mean, it seems to me that, well, of course they should be exposing who she is, or someone else who has this kind of power, this kind of influence, doing these anonymous interviews and doesn't want to be held accountable for what they're doing.
Well, Dan, I think that the main outrage is stemming from the fact that Taylor Lawrence, the reporter that wrote this piece, has, you know, cried on national television about online harassment, and she's spoken out against doxing. She's spoken out against all of these things, and she's made a point of making herself a victim of talking about how she's a victim of harassment online on a number of occasions. Well, she's the one that wrote this piece. So I think a lot of conservatives are drawing on the utter hypocrisy of this. And even now, I mean, she's turned off her replies. She's kind of painting herself as the victim of this situation. She wrote this beautiful masterpiece of an article, and now people are upset with her. Well, but that's a little ridiculous.
Well, I don't know, but I don't think this article, I agreed with you that it wasn't objective, but I don't think the article was harassment, right? I don't think it's fair to compare this article with people being harassed. And that's what you seem to be doing. You seem to be saying it's sort of the same, that she exposed who this person was, and that's sort of the same as people being harassed online. And I don't necessarily equate the two.
Well, she doesn't make a good point for why she should be writing about this in the first place. And her piece is riddled with inaccuracy. So if you look at her piece, sure, it's a hit piece on Libs of TikTok, but she doesn't prove why it's inherently newsworthy. You know, she'll make the argument that the Libs of TikTok's politics, she disagrees with them, but she doesn't make the point why it's newsworthy to kind of unveil this Libs of TikTok account. And she makes a lot of inaccuracies.
All right. Well, it seemed very newsworthy to me, and I guess that was, for me, the focus. So, you know, I agree with you to some degree. I think we'll have to leave it at a disagreement on other stuff, but I appreciate the conversation. I appreciate your time. Thanks a lot for coming on.
No, thank you.
Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.